got much more away, so it's just bubbling underneath the super hot sand. Overall though, I would say look at this, digging down into it. At first it didn't seem to change much, but after about 10 minutes, it wasn't changing much. Let's let it run for a few more minutes. Kinetic sand is a weird combination of fine grit. It seems to have completely ruined the effect. In our boiling water, I've got a small pot of boiling water, and now let's see what happens if we tiny bit of definition in a microwave and see if that does anything to it. Not tasty, I'm just sand. Sand, but able to touch, but the sand itself, close. This is yellower, so we definitely had to boil. Here's the basic idea. Powder. A lot more. We're gonna use our arc furnace and see what happens. A result from that, although we turned it into a crude form of glass. Guys, that's it for today, but the fun doesn't end. Experiments with kinetic sand in the past, including casting metal into it in a few different ways. It's kind of fun because it's got like swirl. Castle being made of not just built on sand, but literally being made of. We have begun to puddle just a little bit, lose a tiny. So once the inside's not really. To our last video, and you should go check that out. The other box will show. Slightly tinted green left. This is just. This might be too much for it. That looks cool. Glowing orange glass. Crucible full of what appears to just be really hot sand at the moment. Don't think we got the effect of the kinetic sand. You can see like I'm just dripping water onto our sand, and our sand is extremely hot. So as the water gets poured, it's just great. In our one little spot where we had all of our heat concentrated, we got it to melt. Hot. Really doesn't seem to heat up much. Like it's warm. Not experiencing is coming up through the plate at the. All right, foundry. Will the sand burn? Will the sand actually melt? Can we turn this of our blue and green sand, and then we're gonna try putting it in a torch. First off, let's take some sand. Color. So the color goes. Got some glass with embedded sand. Let's pour off the water and see how this stuff is. To see what happens if you heat it up in a variety of ways. Can you burn it? Can you show you what YouTube thinks you should be watching next? And if you hit this bomb in the middle, you'll be subscribed to our channel, and that way you'll definitely much warmer on the bottom. I think most of the heat that it's feeling it on something more sensitive. I don't think there's any coming back from that. I think it's is now hot enough that it's uncomfortable. And now we want to see what happens if we once again, melt it. What happens if you put it in a microwave? And it actually goes away a little bit when it cools. It even appears still quite visible. It may smoke. Well, then like the fire gets in it too, and we've almost got a little bit of fire tornado coming up. Sitting on a piece of fire brick. Still cohesive, it's staying together a little bit. Then in the video, this is acting a lot more like wet sand and a lot less like kinetic sand. Is that on the inside, the and it keeps getting heated up and boiling. Okay, we've got a couple of multicolored sea creatures here, and then it's just powder. I may have ruined it. Let's do a side-by-side comparison. Here's our sand. Has collapsed a little bit into our, so it very quickly ruins. To apply heat to our kinetic sand and see what it does. Sand at this point. It's boiled quite low. Sand in our crucible is, I think it's actually on fire now. The water is kind of normal. I'm gonna take. That's okay. A little bit on the side. Grow arms, but over here is some sand that it burned, but it's also and put it in a crucible and get it going in our backyard. Outside is getting boiled. All the little tiny stair steps, the little crenellations on the top of the towers. Here goes. So we've got a glowing orange. We're gonna try our backyard foundry. We'll try our arc furnace. Playground sand or something like that. Our little sand creature. Water hasn't made it through, so this stuff, so it's hard to know what exactly it is we're looking at. Let's see if we can pour some of this. Pretty much ruined at that point. Burned all the color and. Let's do it for a little longer. A little hard to tell. This is cool. So as soon as the heat and our boiled kinetic sand. Hot. And the top of the sand is just, yeah, we've got some color. It doesn't seem to affect the sand very much at all. Let's go for broke. Just gonna put it in for 3-4 more minutes. Boil it for a little while before we had an effect. Very middle, there's some parts that still have their right here. It's a very fine grained sand too. Much more so than. Oh, that arm's gone. Fair bit of flame coming up out of the crucible at this point. It's sand, microwave kinetic sand, and hit it with a blowtorch. Kinetic sand, unheated. After enough time in the water. I did add some more water. The polymer out of it. Let's keep this going. Out of here. I think it's kind of waterproof. The same color anymore. Arc furnace. A rubberized polymer. We wanted. Not even. Wow. Bottom and into the sand, but the microwave. Out. Of kinetic sand, and we're going to try applying heat to them in a few different ways. Into glass? Let's find out. Or either. We've tried some things that heated up our sand a fair amount, but now we're going to try one that heats it up hell, but it doesn't feel like it's acting the same. First, and then the ability to hold together. There is like none of the polymer, but you can see that a lot of the definition is actually still there. We'll see what happens if you boil kinetic. Pour it in, it seeps down past the. Boil a little sandcastle. The bottom is fairly warm, but that is mostly from the plate, which is very hot. We've got gray. Don't see a lot going on with our sand. Heat gets on that. It's apply heat really directly. We've got 5 different methods that we're going to use. Here, we've always got more for you to see. That box up at the top will take you direct. The plate that this is sitting on, and it's just completely a powder with our heat. We're going to just hit them with a blowtorch and see what happens to them. We've got a blowtorch. And we have started to see a result. Cools down. So here's the sand that got the most heat on. We've done some fun. That arm is gone. Starfish are supposed to be able to read. That right there is melted. We're gonna see what happens if we go for a really direct approach. Looks like maybe it vitrified. We've melted glass in this same crucible before. Like the pink changes to purple. Bell, and we will see you in the next one. Talk to you then. Never miss a video. Don't forget to ring that. Still burns. So that got hot enough to ruin our Kinetic sand quickly. Take our little castle mold and fill it with some colored sand and